Drink up, old man.
You just made the biggest mistake of your life.
The diner was loud in the familiar way small-town diners always were. Coffee cups clinked against saucers. Waitresses called out orders from memory, and conversations blended into a steady hum that made strangers feel invisible. Marcus Carter preferred places like this. After 20 years serving his country as a Navy SEAL, he had learned to appreciate ordinary moments far more than extraordinary ones. He no longer chased danger. He chased peace. Dressed in a faded sweatshirt, worn jeans, and old work boots, Marcus looked like any other middle-aged man stopping in for breakfast after an early morning. No medals hung around his neck. No uniform announced who he was. The scars he carried weren't visible to anyone who glanced his way. He ordered a simple meal, thanked the waitress by name after reading her badge, and quietly waited. To everyone else, he was just another customer. But life has a strange way of testing people when they least expect it, and sometimes the greatest strength is hidden beneath the most ordinary appearance. Across the room, a group of young men entered with the kind of confidence that demanded attention. Their laughter was loud. Their jokes came at someone else's expense, and they treated the restaurant as though everyone inside existed for their entertainment. At the center was Tyler, a college athlete who had spent years believing size alone earned respect. His friends followed his lead because it was easier to laugh than to challenge him. When they noticed Marcus sitting alone, Tyler smirked. He whispered something to his friends, and they all glanced toward the quiet veteran before laughing. Marcus ignored them. Experience had taught him that pride often disguises insecurity, and not every insult deserved an answer. The waitress returned with his breakfast and apologized for the delay. Marcus smiled warmly and thanked her again. That simple kindness seemed to irritate Tyler even more. Some people mistake calmness for weakness because they've never encountered genuine strength. Tyler stood, walked to the counter, and bought the largest chocolate milkshake on the menu. His friends assumed it was another joke. They pulled out their phones, eager to record whatever happened next. They expected embarrassment. They expected entertainment. They had no idea they were about to witness a lesson none of them would ever forget. Tyler approached Marcus's table with an exaggerated grin. "Hey, old man," he said loudly enough for half the diner to hear. Marcus slowly looked up, but said nothing. Tyler lifted the milkshake high into the air. In one quick motion, he dumped the thick chocolate drink over Marcus's head. Cold ice cream and syrup splashed across his sweatshirt, dripped from his hair, and pooled on the floor beneath the chair. The restaurant fell completely silent. Even the kitchen stopped moving. Tyler's friends exploded with laughter, their phones capturing every second. They expected Marcus to lose his temper. They wanted a fight. Instead, Marcus calmly reached for a napkin. He wiped the milkshake from his face without saying a single word. His breathing remained steady. His hands never shook. He looked directly at Tyler, not with anger, but with disappointment. It was the expression of a man who had seen real cruelty in places where lives depended on courage, and who understood how small this moment truly was. "Are you finished?" Marcus asked quietly. Tyler blinked, surprised by the question. "That's it," he mocked. "You're not going to do anything?" Marcus stood slowly. Though older, he carried himself with quiet confidence that instantly changed the atmosphere. "Son," he replied, "I've spent years in situations where losing control meant people didn't come home. I don't hand my self-control to someone looking for attention." Tyler laughed again, but this time the confidence behind it sounded forced. The phones kept recording. Customers watched without speaking. Marcus removed his soaked sweatshirt, revealing muscular arms marked by old scars that told stories no words could fully explain. The room suddenly understood this was no ordinary man. Before Tyler could respond, the diner owner hurried over, furious about what had happened. He demanded Tyler leave immediately. Tyler shrugged as though the incident were harmless fun. "It was just a joke," he insisted. Marcus interrupted gently. "No," he said. "A joke is funny for everyone. Humiliation isn't comedy. It's a choice." Those words landed harder than any punch ever could. Several customers nodded. Tyler's friends lowered their phones, suddenly uncomfortable with what they had recorded. The waitress quietly brought Marcus a clean towel. He thanked her with the same respect he had shown from the beginning. As Tyler headed toward the exit, one elderly customer stood and recognized Marcus. Years earlier, his grandson had served alongside Navy SEALs overseas. He had seen Marcus in photographs from a ceremony honoring extraordinary bravery under impossible conditions. The man spoke softly but clearly enough for everyone nearby to hear. That's Chief Marcus Carter. He saved multiple teammates during an operation that most people wouldn't have survived. Every eye turned toward Marcus. He looked almost embarrassed by the attention. That was my job, he answered simply. Nothing more. Tyler froze near the door. The confidence disappeared from his face as realization settled in. He hadn't humiliated a helpless stranger. He had humiliated a decorated warrior who had spent decades protecting people he would never even meet. More importantly, he had humiliated himself. The silence felt heavier than any shouting ever could. Slowly, Tyler walked back across the diner. His friend stayed behind, unsure what to do. Standing before Marcus, Tyler looked down at the floor. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. Marcus studied him for a long moment. "Are you sorry because people know who I am?" he asked. "Or because you finally understand what you did?" Tyler struggled to answer. Tears formed in his eyes as the weight of the question sank in. "Because I understand," he whispered. "I judged you before I knew anything about you." Marcus nodded. "That's where every act of prejudice begins. We decide someone's worth before we've learned their story." The words echoed through the diner. They applied not only to Tyler, but to everyone listening. Too often people judged others by clothing, skin color, age, or appearance instead of character. Marcus knew that lesson well. Throughout his life, he had faced moments where people underestimated him, questioned him, or assumed he didn't belong. He refused to let bitterness define him. Instead, he let dignity become his answer. Marcus accepted Tyler's apology, but not without responsibility. He asked Tyler to help clean the floor he had covered with Milkshake. Without hesitation, Tyler grabbed a mop and bucket. His friends joined him, putting away their phones and working silently beside him. The laughter was gone. In its place stood accountability. Before leaving, Marcus placed enough money on the table to pay for his breakfast and left an additional tip for the waitress who had shown kindness throughout the morning. As he walked toward the door, the entire diner rose to its feet. Not because he demanded recognition, but because true strength inspires respect without asking for it. Marcus smiled, thanked everyone, and stepped into the morning sunlight. Tyler watched him disappear, carrying a lesson that would remain long after the embarrassment faded. Real power isn't found in humiliating others. It isn't measured by physical size, popularity, or the ability to intimidate. Real power is the discipline to remain calm when provoked, the courage to choose dignity over revenge, and the wisdom to understand that every person carries a story invisible to the world. Some wear uniforms, while others carry invisible scars. Some fight battles overseas, while others fight daily against judgment and discrimination. But every person deserves to be seen with respect before they are judged, because the strongest people in the room are often the ones who never have to prove their strength at all.